Welcome everybody to Tommy Rat's New York Hardcore Stories. This is episode 2. I want to give a shout out to my boy Lenny, who used to be in Fear of Life and Struggle Within. He lives in the Tampa area. He helped me out with the intro. How do you like that intro? If you like it, sound off in the comments. If you think it could be better, let me know. I want to hear your opinions. I just want to hear your opinions, free speech. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to Rat Bones. Today's his birthday. Happy birthday, Rat Bones. You're the only rat that I know that's still living in New York City to this day. And last night we had a show at this club called Muni in Ocala. This was like the first hardcore punk show I went to since the New Year's Eve 2020, where I saw Murphy's Law play in Brooklyn. And the band from Daytona Beach called Fortitude play. Shout out to West Fortitude for coming down to Ocala to play this show. It was cool. It was good to see a show. Been a long time coming. So anyway, I want to talk about the first time Black Flag played in New York. Being that last week we talked about the Bad Brains and Black Flag became a topic in the subject along the way. So the first time I've heard of Black Flag was in senior year of high school, 1980, through a friend of mine named Mike Roman, who I'm still friends with to this day. In bio class, we always talk about punk rock like we always did, but he mentioned to me West Coast bands like Black Flag, the Dead Kennedys, X. I was intrigued by this other scene on the West Coast that I wasn't aware of, and there was like very little material out. Even the Germs, he mentioned the Germs to me too. Can't forget the Germs. On March 14, 1981, Black Flag played at Peppermint Lounge. So me and this friend of mine from Bensonhurst went down there. They had Mission of Burma opening up for them. Prior to that, I came across a flyer Steve Pettibone made, who was like their regular artist that was distributed for the show. Back when people were not afraid to paste flyers on walls and lampposts. I used to pull them off and take them home and paste them on my wall. So before anybody got worried about, sanitary conditions. I knew some people that went as far as taking Black Flag, ant killer subway ads off of a train and put them on their walls in their house, thinking it's the same thing at the time when it wasn't. However, we went to this show. I didn't know too many people at the time. Peppermint Lounge was like this place where they catered to new wavers. That would drink, get high, do whatever over there. That was the kind of crowd that they catered to, because that's where the bar made money from. That's who the bar made money from back in them days. So Black Flag had Dez singing at the time. As soon as the first note hit, a bunch of skinheads, who I later learned were from the DC area, while slam dancing and stage diving. This was the first for the New York City scene at that time. That was the first time I witnessed slam dancing ever. There were like a few peeps from the New York punk scene that knew what was going on and were involved. At that time, DC felt our scene was whack, I would later learn. And the dominant clientele at the Peppermint Lounge were giving them shit at that show. And they thought that they represented what was going on in the New York punk scene when they weren't representing it at all. So supposedly that's how the so-called war with New York and DC began. However, that didn't last too long, because the people who were involved were no longer around or involved and just didn't care anymore. Everybody moved away from this beef. This beef was non-existent after a short time. However, this was an amazing show. New York City got a shot in the arm that I never had before. I wasn't familiar with Black Flag's material yet. I remember they closed their shows with Louie Louie. We started looking for Black Flag music, and along the way we found out about the Circle Jerks and learned Keith Morris was the original singer of Black Flag, and found their Group Sex LP along the way. However, that's a story for another time. So basically, discovered the Jealous Again EP with Chavo singing, and the Six Pack EP with Dez singing came out around the same time as the Irving Plaza show. Nervous Breakdown was out of print by that time. So basically, that's my review of the first Black Flag show in New York City. In closing, I just want to let everybody know I'm still working on my book. So keep an eye out for that. And if you want to support the channel, please look at the description box below. And see you next week. Please smash that like button and subscribe for more Tommy Rat New York Hardcore stories. Thank you for watching.